Asterisk, why didn't Bang Si Hyuk answer a single word after Jungkook exposed all the HYBE scandals? What exactly has the agency been hiding all this time? Asterisk, what would you do if the person you trusted the most suddenly stood up in front of the world and revealed all the dark secrets that had been tightly buried for years? How do you feel when you see Bang Si Hyuk's pale face speechless? When Jungkook, HYBE's idol pride, actually became the first person to shake the foundation of his own agency? Click the like button now if you didn't expect Jungkook to be this brave. Leave a comment if you think HYBE needs to clarify, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the hottest updates behind the scenes of the K-pop world, because this one really will change everything. The conference hall was suddenly silent. No whispers, no quiet coughs, no ringing of cell phones dared to break the silence. There was only the sound of bated breath and the ticking of a digital clock in the back of the room. Jungkook stood in front of the podium, wearing a simple black suit. No HYBE logo, no artist badge, no escort from the management team. No smiles, no gimmick. There is no opening song. Just a pair of eyes looking straight at the live broadcast camera and the first sentence that made the audience's breath choke. Asterisk, I knew this would end things, but I'm more afraid to let this lie live on. Asterisk, that's how it all started. What was supposed to be HYBE's annual regular forum turned 180 degrees into an open admission that none of the media dared to foresee. There is no script. There is no moderator. There was no sign that this would happen until Jungkook asked for 5 minutes of talk time. And in those 5 minutes, the K-pop world, especially Stay and ARMY, was blown by a storm that won't be easily forgotten. Bang Si Hyuk sat in the very front row, wearing a dark gray suit. His face began to turn pale from the moment Jungkook mentioned one name: Special Training Program 2017. Asterisk, an internal term never known to the public. But as Jungkook begins to reveal the details of his activities, the imposition of dietary patterns, extreme training hours, and verbal bullying from HYBE's senior staff on the trainees, many are beginning to understand. This is not just a vent. This is the destruction of the system from within. Jungkook doesn't just speak for himself. He mentioned other names, some already debuting, some never seen again since their early years in training. He mentions mental pressure, psychological manipulation, and how the label family that HYBE is always sold to the media is just a mask for a system of emotional exploitation polished to seem beautiful. Do you know why there are members who used to be very cheerful, but suddenly become silent and withdraw? Asked Jungkook while holding back emotions. Do you know why one of my friends ran away from the dorm for 2 days? Not because I'm tired, but because we were told to choose, obey, or go out anonymously. There are stories of late-night workouts in spaces without air conditioning during the summer. About foods that are limited to only 500 calories per day, even for children under 18 years of age. About training footage that was deliberately leaked to senior staff to be used as mockery. About one night when Jungkook thought he would never wake up again due to fatigue and dehydration, but instead was reprimanded for not having a star mentality. And when the camera pans to Bang Si Hyuk, the man who has always been seen as BTS's visionary and protector, there is no movement from his lips. Only the eyes continued to stare at the table, hands rubbed sweat from the temples. This question hung over millions of viewers who watched the live broadcast on various platforms. And Jungkook's answer made everything even more fiery. Because I don't want new trainees to experience the same thing. Because I once saw Jimin crying alone after being pressured by the staff just because he gained 0.5 kilograms. Because I know Taehyung once wanted to give up, but was never able to reveal it, because it was all considered part of the process. And because of myself, I almost lost control of who I was, just for the sake of being the machine you know as BTS's Jungkook. Suddenly, one of the staff tried to cut off the broadcast. But Jungkook's voice was heard anyway. He had a spare microphone with him, and had apparently arranged for the video to connect directly to a private channel that could only be turned off from the original source. This is not just a confession. This is sabotage. This is resistance. This is a moment that can never be undone. He opened sheet after sheet of documents that had never been disclosed before. Copies of emails from HYBE's internals discussing artist emotion control strategies. Recordings of staff voices denigrating idols backstage. Even internal chat screenshots showing how some managers compare artists like product and revenue unit. Not a few spectators began to shed tears not out of sadness, but out of anger. Comments on the live broadcast immediately exploded. This is crazy. Why have we known nothing all this time? BANG SI HYUK must explain. Jungkook, you are a hero. And when the broadcast was finally forcibly interrupted after more than 47 minutes, the world of K-pop was no longer the same. The media around the world immediately picked up this news as the biggest uprising in the history of the K-pop industry. Some fans cried, some refused to believe, some immediately went on a boycott campaign against HYBE. But one thing is certain, Jungkook has opened a door that can never be closed again. BANG SI HYUK disappeared from the public for more than 72 hours. There is no official statement. There was no press conference. No post from personal accounts or HYBE labels. However, internal leaks said that some of HYBE's staff in the training section began to panic. Some immediately delete social media accounts. Several others reportedly stopped secretly. Meanwhile, Jungkook has received unstoppable support not only from fans, but also from other idols. One former trainee wrote, *, he finally did it. Jungkook not only saved himself, but saved us all. *, or will this be the turning point where the giant agency finally opens a new page with honesty? Or will they fight back, silence, and reuse the image to cover an already open wound? And one of the most surprising questions that arises in the community *** if Jungkook can unpack all this. Will the other BTS members also keep a darker story? *** for now, the world can only wait. But one thing is certain *** that day, it wasn't just Jungkook who changed, the whole face of the K-pop industry was shaken. *** hours after the broadcast was forcibly ended. Hashtags #HYBE exposed and #We stand with Jungkook skyrocketed to #1 trending in 39 countries. But it wasn't just netizens who raised their voices. In less than 12 hours, a series of cryptic posts emerged from accounts belonging to other K-pop idols, some of them not from HYBE, but all with one common thread: subtle support for Jungkook's truth. Taehyung posted a picture of the half moon on his Instagram story, accompanied by a short text. After dark, there will be light. But sometimes, we need to blow up the sky first. Fans immediately connected it to the content of Jungkook's speech, particularly the part when he said, "Truth is sometimes not a soft light, but an explosion that destroys all masks." But what really shook was Jimin's upload just 14 minutes later. He posted a photo of the shabby black shoes he wore during his trainee days, with the caption, "You have no idea what we went through to survive on that floor." Thousands of comments immediately flooded the post, many of them crying, realizing that this is not just nostalgia. It's a veiled admission that every sentence Jungkook uttered last night wasn't a dramatization, but a fact. But on the other hand, leaks from former HYBE staff actually add fire to the embers that have not yet been extinguished. In an anonymous interview conducted online, one of the former vocal coaches mentioned that there is a red list, an internal record containing the names of trainees or artists who are considered difficult to control and need to be systematically marginalized. The name he called first, Park Jimin, then followed by Kim Taehyung, and finally, John Jungkook with a special note: too brave and too smart to be controlled for a long time. The blood of the fans is boiling. An old video of Jungkook when he was a trainee showing himself training to exhaustion and falling back went viral. But what hurts more? The video was once edited by HYBE into footage of a tireless spirit, when the original context was evidence of the physical exploitation of minors. And this is what makes everyone start asking, how much of what we've seen so far is a glitter-wrapped lie? When BANG SI HYUK finally appeared 3 days later on the company's official broadcast, the world held its breath. But there was no confession, no apologies. Only rhetorical lines tried to ease the tension. "We are sorry if any of the parties feel uncomfortable with the training system that we have implemented in the past." There is no mention of Jungkook's name. There is no promise of change. However, Jungkook was not silent. He uploaded a handwritten note to his personal Weverse account. "I'm sorry if I have damaged the image you believe in. But more than that, I want to protect our reality. I will not stop until there is no more trainee sister crying silently in the toilet because she was forced to lose weight by torturing her body. I knew I was going to lose a lot, maybe everything. but I don't want to lose my pride. And sure enough, a few days later, the big brands began to withdraw contracts. Not a few who think Jungkook is too controversial, but thousands of fans immediately formed a support network that spread globally. They called it the JK Truth Circle. They created documentation, collected testimonials from former HYBE trainees, and even petitioned South Korea's National Human Rights Commission to conduct an independent investigation into the entertainment agency's training system. What makes it all the more revealing is the emergence of another leaked document, a very binding trainee contract. HYBE reserves the right to regulate trainees' diet, sleep, and even social interactions, including prohibiting emotional contact between trainees if it interferes with their career focus point. One of the documents even mentions Jungkook and Jimin's names explicitly, noting their emotional closeness needs to be monitored, as it can disrupt individual schedules and loyalty to the brand. This sparked a theory that has so far only been whispered among fans, that the agency is actively separating friendship relationships that are judged too strong. In order to ensure the dominance of psychological control, netizens began to dig deeper. One name emerged that was never mentioned directly, but was always present in the shadows: the executive director of HYBE training, who now lives abroad. Some former employees referred to him as an iron fist that even BANG SI HYUK himself did not dare direct confrontation with. Jungkook implied that some of the trauma experienced by some of the members, especially Jimin, came from training methods that were too harsh and inhumane. But now a new, much more surprising question arises. Was this system designed from the very beginning not to train, but to destroy personality in order to make it easier to control? Netizens began likening the agency's structure to a modern form of indoctrination camp, a place where young people are put in, reshaped into a brand format, and forced to ditch their true identities in favor of becoming the face of the industry. Cultural critics began writing lengthy essays about the long-term effects of the K-pop industry on mental health. One columnist called Jungkook's confession history that should have been revealed a decade ago. But the real storm comes from within. Taehyung, without saying much, uploaded a 48-second video to No Music. No effect. Only the sound of his breathing was heavy. With reddened eyes, in the 30th second, he said, "Jungkook didn't lie. He's just been quiet too long." Then the screen goes black. Now, everyone is waiting for one thing: the reaction of other artists under HYBE. Will they stand with Jungkook or remain silent under the pressure of the company? And the public also began to ask, where is BTS as a group? Are they still one voice? Or is this the beginning of a split that has been tightly closed? One other surprising rumor emerged from the Japanese media, that one of BTS senior members had submitted a request to leave the label in 2021, but his request was frozen, citing the group's contract. The name of the member was not mentioned, but the clues were very clear: someone who was very close to Jungkook and had disappeared from the media for several months. And now, the public can only wait. Is this the beginning of HYBE's downfall, or the beginning of the Korean entertainment industry's rise towards openness? One thing is certain: Jungkook's voice has split the world in two, between those who want to continue to love without knowing the truth, and those who choose to love by accepting real wounds. But the public is not ready for the next wave. Because exactly 2 weeks after the controversial broadcast, a 1-hour and 12-minute video was leaked to the Korean Underground Forum and immediately re-uploaded to international platforms by anonymous accounts. The title of the file is simple: 2018 Internal HYBE Training Footage. Unedited. But the content of the video was not just unexpected, he was terrible. The first footage shows a crying trainee in a dark corner of the room, with the coach's voice shouting from outside the frame, "If you can't dance with mental steel, you can go home now. We are not a place for whiny artists." In the 7th minute, a manager's voice was heard mentioning Jungkook and Jimin's names in the context of an evaluation that was more like an asset write-off meeting. If these two stick together, one will lose focus. Separate their rooms. Make them compete. And even more cruelly, in the 34th minute, someone from the executive ranks, His face indistinct, but his voice heavy and sharp said a searing phrase. Love and friendship cannot live in this system. They have to feel alone to be great. The line was spoken while highlighting a screen containing profiles of the trainees, including a photo of Taehyung circled in red marker with a note. Too emotional, potential to defect if left close to the other two. In less than 5 hours, the video had already been viewed millions of times. New hashtags appeared. Hashtag HYBE systemic abuse and hashtag justice for trainees. But the public does not yet know that it is only the outermost layer.